Hello everyone, welcome to a new video on martial politics. Today is a special video because it is dedicated to a certain political group that I hate tremendously, and that group is neoliberals. Neoliberals, as you all know, they control a ruling class. They control control basically every single major institution, academia, our intelligence agencies, our military high command as well, even. They basically dominate every major government power structure in the country, essentially. Now, what do neoliberals support? Well, recently they've really just been pushing for just social issues. I don't think they even really. I don't see like any serious economic discussions from them. But really, what they suppose, this is what I've seen from some, is that essentially what they support is, some of them support like more left wing economics. Some of them are like laissez faire. It's like ridiculous, but really what they support is race based economics, which is a fucking disaster. What they want to do is they want to give special privileges to minorities over, the majority white population and act as if that's so fulfilling and wonderful or whatever, and it's totally not going to divide our country. And, it's completely ridiculous. In terms of social issues, what they push for, I mean, this is like, the typical garbage, pro LGBTQ rights, pro gay marriage, garbage like that. Pro abortion, the degenerate garbage left wing social views. They want increased immigration as well, which you could say immigration is interesting because it's both an economic and social issue because it impacts like the population, but it also impacts American workers and competition in the labor force. But yes, anyways, yeah. Neoliberals support the worst policies for society, and really, in the end, all they want is the supremacy of neoliberalism. That's why they want to institute a national popular vote system. They want to get rid of the Electoral College, so that basically no Republican will ever be able to win again in a presidential race. But yeah, what they always act like, oh, we just want freedom and people to be happy, when really all of their policies are just to fulfill their ridiculous partisan goals of an anti-racist America, anti-racist, as if like the population of racists in the United States is so small. Probably the only people who are like actually racist are people online. Like, I've literally never seen a racist. I've never heard like a racist person in public before. Never. Just so funny. Well, except for one incident, but whatever. They make up like fake issues for some reason. Like it always revolves around race. That's really the main thing. That really encompasses the neoliberal ideology, is that basically everything they discuss has to revolve around race. So like when they're criticizing Donald Trump or whatever, they complain, he's doing things that are racist and or anti I don't even how. But what I've heard, like the anti-Semitic argument, is just so hilarious because Trump was such a big defender of Israel, but and his stepson and his son-in-law that he literally has in his administration, who is basically controlling the scene, he's basically controlling. He was Jared Kushner. He was basically controlling everything around. But yeah, like ridiculous terms. They'll call you racist, sexist, which is pretty funny. There's not like that many, normal people in society, I'd say, that are like that. Mostly, like, again, as I said, it's only like people online, fringe groups, maybe on like Discord and I don't know, like maybe people saying the N word in like games or something, like in the chat in the game or something. But like to say that it's a systemic problem in America is so stupid and hilarious because it really distracts from the larger, irrelevant issues, which include, our current class war that's going on right now, which is really the biggest divide in American society. I'd argue. I don't think it's race. I feel like that's pretty silly, as you know. It's only if you make an argument that's race, you'll mention current circumstances. But the thing is, like, all these circumstances are artificially created by the mainstream media, people in power, big corporations, stuff like that. And it's really funny because I think what's happened is that, the reason, if they keep talking about race like this and the neoliberals like openly hate, straight white men, people like me, and many others in the United States, people that have, families, they have their wives staying at home, taking care of the children, and that's apparently racist and sexist, as they'd say, because women should be in the workplace working for a soulless corporation. Oh, how fulfilling! But it's so ridiculous, and the worst part about the neoliberal ideology is it's not only it's not only the dominant ideology in the ruling class and in higher society, but it's taken a very large base among the us plebeians who are serving at the knees of our masters, the neoliberal ruling class. And these people have essentially conformed to the controlling narrative right now. And these are like there's so many examples of neoliberal propaganda, and of course they fall for it constantly. The Black Lives Matter stuff, the pro LGBTQ garbage, the Holocaust ridiculous, the propaganda about that. Oh my god, literally, like it's so funny though, because Jews are literally white, but Jews are useful to controlling society. I mean, we have many rich Jews who influence politics, so I mean, I'm not surprised. But yes, the yeah. But they say about the Holocaust is funny though, because they say, oh, it was a systemic genocide. It was a genocide that aimed to kill all the Jews, and they don't even, like, less than 50% of the way less than 50%. All the statistics for that are a lie, by the way. The Holocaust statistics for the Jews. It was only inflated by the Zionists who wanted the creation of Israel. But anyways, yes. Less than 50% of the Jews, less than 50% of the people who died during the Holocaust, way less, were Jewish. Less. There were 6 million. Are you kidding me? 6 million Jews? Are you kidding? Is this a joke or something? I'm pretty sure. It's so ridiculous. But the rest of the people who died in the Holocaust were, Eastern Slavs, Poles, Ukrainians, Russians, Lithuanians, you could say. Well, Lithuanians aren't like really Slavic, but they're weird actually. But they're like a different group. But Germany wanted to colonize these lands to incorporate them into Greater Germany or whatever. Jews were only like in isolated communities in urban areas. So, but whatever. I went a complete tangent on that. But yes, the neoliberals push such ridiculous propaganda. And I saw this hilarious piece from the New York Times that the January 6th riot is like it's a it's like a sign of anti-Semitism and racism returning to the United States because of that one guy who was wearing the shirt Camp Auschwitz. Because the one guy. Oh, but yes. It's the neoliberal propaganda. They take events. And the thing is, it's so funny with the with left-wing people is that they know practically nothing about history. They know literally nothing. There's very few people I've seen on the left that, have an active interest in history, maybe apply it to their ideology, but, they do apply it to their ideology. The difference is that neoliberals, unlike, more people on the right, is that they take their examples from isolated incidents. So the Holocaust, for example, or slavery, for example. So they take those, broader ideas, and they manipulate them in some way to make it look like to favor a certain group over others. So they'll say, like with the Holocaust, they'll say the Jews or whatever, and with slavery, they'll say it was the blacks. And I'm not saying that slavery is good or whatever, but it's so funny. But yeah, that's just a thing they do with their ideologies. They use these past incidents to justify their ideology, as if any of these things are even. There's not even like a comparable. There's not even anything comparable to it, and it's so hilarious. And some of the worst parts with neoliberals is that they also support wars in the Middle East. Now their motives are weird. Like they may say like, oh, to liberate people from religious extremists or whatever. Neoliberalism is kind of like a religion to all these people because it's like it enshrines individualism, which is ridiculous. I've previously voiced my opinion about individualism in a previous video. I think it was the Huey Long video, about how individuals by themselves are mostly we're not that powerful individually. If we unite as a collective group, then we can actually enforce change and be more efficient and productive. But anyways, they'll use this example of like bringing democracy or whatever, or like liberating the oppressed women of the region, which is hilarious. Also, Muslims vehemently hate gays, so that's another thing. Like you'll literally be killed if you're found out to be a homosexual in the Middle East, which is, interesting, I'd say. But they want to defend like these protected groups. That's kind of that. This is kind of this like the spreading democracy part. It was actually established. This foreign policy doctrine was established by Woodrow Wilson, who wanted to bring democracy to the world to follow the American example, because he believed like the American system of government was like so unique and blessed by God, and it was so beautiful, and it needed to be spread across the world as much as possible. And he didn't really care about like individuals. Like he did this in Poland, for example. He really didn't care for Polish people. He just saw them as like a tool for filling his. He was kind of like an earlier neoliberal, because he also really cared about race. The only difference is that he was vehemently racist, and he enshrined white supremacy. But that's always been consistent over time with neoliberalism, because you can see it in the past, as I said with Woodrow Wilson, is that it's enshrined with identity. It's always your race, your gender, your sexual orientation, ridiculous things like that, as if like that is the most important thing about you, or people in this. It's so ridiculous. But it's part of like, because it's really easy to stoke these things, because people always want to feel like they're oppressed and they deserve more rights or whatever. A lot of people do that, and then the white neoliberals will act like, oh, I'm anti-Trump. I feel so bad for blacks. Oh, if I only realized earlier how oppressed they were. But yes, I start to kind of things kind of just keep looping around, because at the end, when you discuss neoliberalism, you always get back to identity, because that's the cornerstone of their entire ideology. Every policy they do, every politician they support, it always revolves around identity, and who they were associated with. So you see that with Joe Biden, because he was the VP for the first black president. So that's really the reason why Biden even was even a candidate in last year for president. But you know, this identity stuff is really just so detrimental to society, and they always fetishize the minorities as if they're so oppressed, and oh, they have such terrible lives. If only it wasn't for the evil Mr. Blump. It's so ridiculous. But yes. So I mean, they're wrong on literally every single issue possible. And the thing is with neoliberals, as I said, the foundation for their ideology is identity politics and identity. So you can't argue with them because they observe certain things while people on the right-wing populists observe, certain things in society, and they want to address them. And those things are very real, like, wealth inequality. We basically have a border crisis right now on the southern border. We have a problem with immigration. Many, many different problems in the United States with that. But the neoliberals, they refuse to accept reality. So they basically follow made-up nonsense. And I'm sorry, I've been sticking on that picture for the entire time, but here is Nancy Pelosi, a famous neoliberal. Here's another neoliberal, Brooklyn Dad Defiant. Now this guy, by the way, he was recently found out to be being paid by the DNC to send these tweets, and like his bio is hilarious. Proud Papa, perpetually pissed, even though Mr. Blumf isn't in office anymore, but he's perpetually pissed. Blue Wave 2020, cringe, feminist, the resistance BLM. He's a member of the resistance, guys. He really is fighting against. He's on the side of all our major institutions controlled by the neoliberal ruling class. He's a fighter. He's part of the resistance, my guy. And also you have people like this who have these ridiculous flags. This is the trans flag, I believe. You have other people with the gay flag, the rainbow shit. And they're hilarious. They really are. Because, again, they don't look at actual problems in society. So, the thing is, when there's like a certain, when you get into a political debate, it's really simple. This is what used to be like the standards. You have to acknowledge problems in the country. And you always have to agree with that. You always have to agree with that. That's like the foundation for, actual political discussion. But since we can't have actual political discussion because of the mainstream media, because they make people care about things that aren't really major problems in the United States, and you have that with others as well, like libertarians. If they can't acknowledge like the actual problems, you can't even debate with them. That's why I practically refuse to get into any actual debate with neoliberals, because they don't even accept reality. Like, we can have completely different solutions to a problem. Like, sure, I'm fine with that. But if you can't even accept reality and look at the problems that are actually at hand, then I can't talk to you, because you're delusional. You're delusional. It's that simple. And neoliberals they're the embodiment of political delusion. And that's why I say that neoliberalism, the ideology, it's really America's most serious pandemic, because it really spreads throughout the United States rapidly, much faster than, the coronavirus. Yes. The virus, the actual virus, neoliberalism, without a doubt. And it has serious, the symptoms are obvious. It's the people who have BLM in their Twitter bios. They posted Black Square on Instagram. Stuff like that. And yes, and the complications of neoliberalism, it's devastating. You're probably never going to recover from it. And you have a lot of coping in common. So this is a comment that was replying to some opinion piece on MSNBC. I was actually really surprised to read it. I didn't read it, but I saw the title and it intrigued me. And there was and basically the tweet was getting ratioed. So I clicked on the comments and I see stuff like this. The man's been president for just... Oh, by the way, the opinion piece was about that the time to criticize Biden is now or whatever. But, here's one of the... This is the funniest comment out of everyone I've seen. Like, it's not even comparable. This is the most hilarious one. It gets really funny at the end. The man's been president for just over a month. He's better than anyone could have hoped for. He is our modern day FDR, for God's sakes. He's our modern day FDR. I'm pretty sure Biden wanted to cut Social Security. I think so, and he wanted to cut welfare programs as well. But yes, he's our modern day FDR. This cope is so, and it's not even like FDR was even that amazing. Anyways, if you saw my presidential tier list video, I ranked FDR pretty low because he was basically a corporatist. I mean, you could make the argument that he is the modern day FDR, but in this context, this person, they're in this is like the context that this is positive. Yeah, you could say Biden is like FDR because what Biden is doing is he's basically a corporatist just like FDR was, because he wants government to cooperate with corporations to basically completely control the economy. That's basically what FDR wanted to do during the Great Depression. The thing is with Biden, I mean, you could say the other thing you could say is that Biden is he's injured mentally. FDR had a physical deficiency, which was polio. Biden has a mental deficiency, so I guess you could say, to an extent, yeah, they're a modern day FDR, for God's sake. Oh God, and that's weird. He said God's sakes, so. Maybe it's all women, by the way. Women are so easy to cave into, political opinions. And this was another comment. This is so stupid. What's it been? 6 weeks? I've never seen an administration tackle so much in such a short time. So ridiculous. And of course, another famous neoliberal, Hillary Clinton. And here's another hilarious comment. This is my second favorite one. Oh, please! Exclamation point. Doses of vaccines have doubled. He's reversed a ton of damaging executive orders that Trump had in place. He's placing cabinet members without the advantage of a transition. And he just passed a massive relief bill with literally no help from Republicans in 45 days. Oh my God! What do you mean? He doesn't even need help from Republicans. You're so ridiculous. It's so stupid. But yes, I'm gonna start to begin to conclude this video. Yes, as I said, neoliberalism again. It's literally it's a mental illness. You could say it's a physical illness as well, because I feel like a lot of neoliberals are, not fit. They're just sitting at home watching mainstream media all day, MSNBC, CNN, typical garbage. And they're wearing a mask everywhere they go. Even if they just step out their home, they have to have their mask on. It's really unbelievable. It really is. And it really is. It is a serious issue, because we can have up to 20 to 25, maybe possibly even 30% of the population follows this. Maybe even 40%, my God. Because really in the, because they're essentially the dominant political group in the United States. They really are. That's why the Democrats keep winning elections, and it's so sad. It really is sad. And of course you have some fraud to an extent as well, but it's not that. But really, the main issue is these people. It really is neoliberalism. It is an illness, and I think it really needs to be addressed. If we want to have a better country, this has to end. This really does. And the way that happens, that can be debated. I think that we do need an actual, we need a serious power history shifting event in the United States that would effectively transfer power to a new competent ruling class, the ruling populist ruling class. And I hope one day that will happen. We are really approaching a very dangerous time because, the neoliberalism illness has only gotten worse recently, and it's going to get progressively worse. And it's just keep your eyes out, everyone. Neoliberalism, it's gonna be here for quite a while, and I think the most important thing we need to do is to crush them. Simply crush them. And yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. Pretty long actually. I'm probably recording for over 25 minutes. But yes, I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe for more. If you have any, questions or you want to just leave a comment, then you can do it down below. Type in your comment, post it, and I'll most definitely read it. And if you have any questions or criticisms maybe, or maybe you want to add something, then of course, again, you're welcome to do that in the comments below. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter. I have some pretty funny tweets. It is pretty enjoyable, I'd say. And yeah, have an excellent day, everyone. And I'll see you all in the next video.